Have you ever tried to imagine a world with absolutely no green? I mean, no forests, no fields, not even a single blade of grass? For billions of years, that was Earth. In this explainer, we're going to dive into the incredible story of how life first conquered the continents and literally built the world we live in today.
Seriously, just try to picture it for a second. The only sounds are the wind whistling over bare rock and the crash of waves on empty shores. An entire planet just silent and gray. It's a world that's almost impossible for us to even wrap our heads around.
And yet, hidden inside all that silence, a green tide was starting to rise. A quiet, incredibly slow, but totally world-altering invasion was about to kick off. And it was led by the humblest pioneers imaginable, the very first plants.
To really understand how life made that massive leap onto land, we've got to travel way back, billions of years back, to a time when our planet's story was written completely in water. You see, for the first chapter of life on Earth, the oceans were the only stage.
The unsung heroes of this early world, microscopic algae. For millions and millions of years, these tiny green powerhouses were performing a quiet miracle. Every single day, they just patiently pumped out life-giving oxygen, first into the water and then into the atmosphere, slowly changing the chemistry of the whole planet and setting the stage for everything that was to come.
So, the stage was set, but that jump from the cozy cradle of the ocean to the harsh reality of the land, well, that was one of the biggest gambles in the history of life. It was basically an invasion of an alien world, a world with a scorching sun, crushing gravity, and the constant threat of drying out.
I mean, think about it. In the water, life is kind of easy, right? You're basically weightless, you're always wet, and food just kind of floats by. But on land, whoa. Suddenly you're fighting gravity 24/7, you're desperately trying to find water, and there's nothing but bare rock to hold on to. To conquer this place, you had to completely reinvent what it meant to be alive.
And this little guy was one of the first heroes to crack the code. Meet Cooksonia. Now, it doesn't look like much, it's only a few centimeters tall, no real leaves or roots, but it had a secret weapon, spores. This simple little trick meant it could reproduce without being underwater. It was a tiny, tiny plant, but it was taking a giant leap for all life on this planet.
So from these humble little patches of Cooksonia, the next chapter of the story begins. This is where plants go from being tiny colonists to full-on planet-shaping architects. The world was about to see the rise of the first real forests, and believe me, nothing would ever be the same again. So how'd they do it? They developed an incredible toolkit. First, they evolved vascular systems. Think of it like internal plumbing that could move water from the ground all the way up. Then came primitive roots to anchor them in place and suck up nutrients. And finally, strong wood and leaves, letting them grow tall, reach for the sun, and really get the photosynthesis party started. Each step was a move towards a greener, taller world. And all of that amazing innovation led to this, Archaeopteryx. It was kind of part fern, part tree, and it was the organism that changed everything. For the very first time, the world had a true tree, and it was about to unleash a wave of change that would ripple across the entire globe.
You really can't overstate the impact here. Its powerful roots literally smashed through rock, creating the first real soil on the planet. Its huge forests pulled so much CO2 out of the air that they probably cooled the entire globe. And for the first time ever, you had complex, shady habitats on land, basically sending an open invitation for animals to finally leave the water and follow the green.
Okay, so the stage is now set for these first green kingdoms to hit their absolute peak. Welcome to the Carboniferous period, a hot, steamy, swampy world just teeming with life, a world that was ruled by giants.
Seriously, forget any forest you've ever walked through. The Carboniferous was a world of bizarre giants. You had the lepidodendron, the scale trees, towering over 30 meters high with this crazy diamond-patterned bark. And right next to them were forests of calamites, giant horsetails reaching up to a sky that was thick with moisture. It was a truly alien landscape.
Now, all of this non-stop photosynthesis had a wild side effect. The atmosphere got super oxygenated. We're talking oxygen levels hitting around 35%, compared to our 21% today. And all that extra oxygen in the air meant that insects, which breathe through these little tubes in their bodies, could get enormous. I mean, just try to imagine dragonflies with the wingspan of a modern eagle. That's the kind of supersized world we're talking about. But the legacy of these forests goes way beyond their own time. When these giant trees died, they fell into the swamps and got buried before they could totally rot away.
Over millions of years, incredible heat and pressure turned them into the huge seams of coal that powered our modern world. So, in a very real sense, our industrial revolution was fueled by the ghosts of this ancient kingdom.
But you know how these stories go. No kingdom, no matter how powerful, lasts forever. A catastrophe was brewing just over the horizon, something that would scorch the earth and force life to either reinvent itself or just die.
They call it the Great Dying, and for good reason. The Permian-Triassic extinction was the worst thing that's ever happened to life on our planet. Massive volcanic eruptions choked the skies, triggered runaway climate change, and wiped out over 90% of all life. Those vast Glossopteris forests that covered the southern supercontinent, gone, turned to ash. The planet's green engine just sputtered and died.
So, from the ashes of this global fire, a new world had to be born. The old ways of doing things just weren't going to cut it anymore. The survivors, they had to find new strategies, new ways to live, if they were going to reclaim a broken planet.
And the answer came in a tiny package, the seed. It was a revolution. See, spores were simple and they needed water. But a seed? A seed is like a little fortress. It's a self-contained survival kit, complete with a tough outer coat, a packed lunch for the baby plant inside, and a ready-to-go embryo. This one innovation let plants finally break away from the water's edge and conquer the dry, harsh world that came next.
And this new technology led to whole new green dynasties. First up, you had the age of cycads and conifers, the tough guys who would share the world with the dinosaurs. But then came the ultimate game changer, the angiosperms, the flowering plants. Their brilliant flowers and fruits created all these new, complex relationships with animals, sparking an explosion of diversity that completely reshaped the planet and, really, continues to define our world today.
So, after this whole epic journey through deep time, what does it all mean for us? Well, the truth is, the legacy of these lost kingdoms isn't just a story in a textbook. It's written in every single leaf, every breath you take, and every piece of ground you walk on.
The oxygen you're breathing right this second, that's a gift from those first algae. The soil under your feet, that started when the first tree roots shattered rock. The very climate we depend on was first shaped in the shade of those ancient forests. We aren't just living on the earth, we're living inside a world that these ancient green kingdoms built for us.
And that leaves us with a pretty deep question, doesn't it? The story of life is a constant cycle of creation and destruction. The world we love so much is built on the ruins of kingdoms that fell. So, when we look around at the world we're building today, we have to ask ourselves, what legacy are we leaving behind? What will the future kingdoms of this planet be built on?